understand that possibly this case is being live streamed somewhere, which is fine. There's just one issue that I've come across with in the past when cases are being live streamed. I want to maybe just know or make everyone aware, or even possibly ask how everyone wants to deal with this, that on breaks, I don't know if the stream is going to be cut.
What is your issue?
So my concern is that when we are breaking, when the court is not in session, there's not testimony, there's not live witnesses, inquire as to whether a live stream is going to be still active, because I know in the past I've had a personal issue with that when like counsel conversations are being picked up by a live stream that's not, the feed's not cut when there's not active testimony in place, and I want to either we can inquire or maybe request that the stream be cut.
If they pick up somehow your conversations with your client?
Our conversations, Jade's conversations, any conversations that are not like occurring, like it's not active testimony cross-examination.
We'll find that out. Anything else?
It's just sort of a scheduling thing. Depending on how long the opening statements last, would it be possible to have a comfort break before we, to get organized before we call the first witness?
Well, there's 30 minutes according to General Norman. How long do you think yours will take?
30, 40.
Do you want a break in an hour?
Yes, sir, or whenever opening statements, before we call the first witness.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let the jury step down.
Judge, do you want us to use the podium, or is it okay if we don't?
Oh, I don't, it's up to you. Do you not want it? Okay, I won't find that.
If you want it, you can just put it over
I
here.
don't.
All right, good morning, Chief. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let the record reflect. All of the jurors are here and present. If you will, at this time, stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn as the jury in this case.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will well and truly try the issues joined and a true verdict render according to the law and evidence, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can have a seat. Okay. All right, the state will read the indictment.
Yes, Your Honor. Police court, counsel. Members of the jury, the indictment in this case reads as follows. State of Tennessee, Davidson County, count 1. The grand jurors of Davidson County, Tennessee, duly impounded and sworn upon their oath, present that Blaise Allen Taylor, on the 25th day of February 2023, in Davidson County, Tennessee, and before the finding of this indictment, unlawfully, intentionally, and with premeditation, did kill Jade Benning in violation of Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-13-202, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Count 2. The grand jurors of Davidson County, Tennessee, duly impaneled and sworn upon their oath, present that Blaise Allen Taylor, on the 25th day of February 2023 in Davidson County, Tennessee, and before the finding of this indictment, unlawfully, intentionally, and with premeditation did kill the unborn female child of Jade Benning in violation of Tennessee Code Annotated Section 39-13-202 and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Count 3. The grand jurors of Davidson County, Tennessee, duly impounded and sworn upon their oath, present that Blaise Taylor, on the 25th day of February 2023, in Davidson County, Tennessee, and before the filing of this indictment, did kill Jade Benning during the perpetration of or attempt to perpetrate murder in the first degree in violation of Tennessee Code Annotated Section 39-13-202 and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Count 4. The grand jurors of Davidson County, Tennessee, duly impounded and sworn upon their oath, present that Blaise Taylor, on the 25th day of February 2023, in Davidson County, Tennessee, and before the filing of this indictment, did kill the unborn female child of Jade Benning during the perpetration of or attempt to perpetrate murder in the first degree in violation of Tennessee Code Annotated Section 39-13-202 and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Glenn R. Funk, District Attorney General for the 20th Judicial District, and filed with the Davidson County Criminal Court Clerk on March 13, 2024. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brand, Ms. Collins, how does your client plead to that indictment?
I'm not guilty.
Okay. All right, does the state here make an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. You did this because you didn't want the faith. Those are a few of Jade Benning's last words, heard by her very best friend, Nigel Jackson. Words that she heard spoken to Blaise Taylor over the phone 20 minutes before EMTs would find Jade Benning pulseless. EMTs found Jade Benning face down, laying across her bed, not in her bed, across her bed, face down. She was pulseless. When they found Jade Benning, she had this pink, frothy liquid around her mouth, like a spit up. And the area where she had been face down on her comforter, it had that same pink spit up vomit on it. The EMTs did not even know that Jade Benning was 5 months pregnant. They rushed Jade Benning to Vanderbilt Hospital, and when she arrived at the ER, Jade Benning was dead. You will hear evidence and testimony this week that none of the treatment team at Vanderbilt's emergency room had that night of February 25th, 2023, just after 10 p.m. when Jade Benning came to their emergency department. You will hear the evidence and testimony that the blood sample that was taken in the emergency room at 10:31 p.m., the very first blood sample from Jade Benning, that the later testing that came back months later, the concentration of cocaine in her blood was so high, it was unlike anything the medical examiner in this case had ever seen. But it was higher than anything the entire medical examiner's office had seen. You will also hear evidence and testimony that the testing of that pink spit up vomit on Jade's comforter, that it also tested an outrageous level of cocaine. You will hear evidence and testimony from multiple different experts that the physical evidence in this case shows that Jade Benning orally ingested cocaine that had been dissolved in a liquid. You will also hear that Jade Benning was drinking a pink drink that night. Before any of those events happened, Jade Benning was a young 24-year-old, about to turn 25, young woman who was very happy to be 5 months pregnant. Jade Benning was not from the Nashville area. She's from Arkansas. She grew up there with her mom, Bridget, her stepdad, Lynn. That's where she met her very best friend, Jade Jackson, when she was just 6 years old. Jade went on to school. She was a competitive athlete growing up. She went on to school, but her dream was to be a chef. And she achieved that dream. She went to culinary school. She graduated. And Jade actually had family living in the Nashville area. Her stepmom and dad and her half-sister lived in the Nashville area, and her stepmom's brother owned a restaurant, and he hired her on as a chef. And she was so happy to be living her dream. She had a group of really close friends that worked with her at the restaurant, and that was early 2022. And then in August of 2022, Jade Benning's best friend, Jade Jackson, her very best friend growing up, moved to Nashville to go to school at Mary. They were back together again, and these two girls talked constantly, told each other everything. They were so incredibly close. And it was about that same time in August of 2022 that Jade Benning had been linked with Blaise Taylor on a dating app. They started trading messages, and in mid-August, they went out to one dinner at Stony River and went on a date. And they began a casual relationship. It became sexual. It was not a public relationship. They dated, and sometime in late September, Jade Benning became pregnant. Now, she did not find out that she was pregnant until November 2nd of 2022. And when Jade Benning took that home pregnancy test, the very first thing that she did was she called her best friend, Isaiah. She told her, and they started planning to figure out how they could get an appointment to make sure that that was in fact the case. And she confirmed that she definitely was pregnant. Jade Benning reached out to Blaise Taylor, told him that she needed to talk to him in person. And they talked. And then the next day they talked some more. Jade Benning reached out to her mom, Bridget, to her dad, Dennis. She told both of them. She talked to Nigeria a lot about it. She was happy. And on November 6th of 2022, she sent a message to Blaise Taylor confirming her choice to the ultimatum that he gave her. There were no more messages between them. Not any messages until New Year's Eve. Jade Benning went to her November 16th, 2022 ultrasound, and Blaise Taylor was not there with her. She began planning. She was living in a one-bedroom apartment, and she began planning to get a two-bedroom, and she just started doing all of the things that you do to get ready to have a baby. New Year's Eve, she didn't have to work that night, but she still went to the restaurant that she worked at. She went with her dad and her stepmom, and they were there with everybody at the restaurant for New Year's Eve. Blaise Taylor reached out to her on New Year's Eve. And after that night, they began speaking again. And the messages they sent back and forth, it was kind of trying to figure out what was going to be. Jade Benning ultimately expressed that she wanted a relationship with him. Blaise Taylor didn't go to any of Jade Benning's pregnancy appointments. She had 3 in February before she died. He didn't go to the February 2nd appointment where she was going to find out if they were having a baby girl or a baby boy. She asked him to go, and he did not. The week before February 25th, 2023, that day is a Saturday. Earlier that week, Blaise Taylor went out of town on a work trip. And he came back early that Thursday morning. And Jade Benning wanted to see him. And they messaged. She went over to his house mid-morning for a little bit before he went to work. And she asked to see him that night. But he did not make that plan happen with her. And on Friday, she again wanted to see him. She went over and they went and ate at Waffle House. And she wanted to see him that night. And she messaged him. But he didn't return her message. Now, Blaise Taylor was messaging people that night. He specifically sent a message to Cynthia Winford that said, I love you, and I need you to love me back and be in love with me. That is the night of Friday, February 24th. Jade Benning asked Blaise Taylor again on Saturday the 25th if they could hang out and have a date night. And he agreed. And she told him to be at her house at 7 p.m. Wear comfy clothes. She had something planned. And she had already been talking to Nigella Jackson about what she was going to do. She came up with an idea that they would do kind of like a sip and paint, not the sip because she was pregnant and she was not drinking any alcohol, but that they would paint and she would make dinner. She, the chef, Jade Benning, was going to make one of her specialties, chicken Alfredo. Nigella Jackson suggested that meal because it was her favorite. Nigella wasn't eating chicken, but she wanted the Alfredo. She suggested it, and that day Nigella even said, I can stop by and get some food. Because Nigella Jackson, her best friend when she was 6 years old, had never met Blaise Taylor. And the man that she was having a baby with. And so that day, Jade worked early in the day, but she went home, she got everything ready, she had canvases, she had paint, she took multiple pictures of everything, she cooked the dinner, she took pictures beforehand, and about 7 o'clock p.m., Blaise Taylor came over, and they ate dinner together, and then at 7:30, Nigella Jackson, she had been at school, and one of her friends that she went to school with, Keontae Jones, was with her, and they stopped by to pick up food. They weren't planning on staying. They ended up being there for about 30 minutes, and they talked to them. Nigella got to meet Blaise Taylor for the first time. They did both notice that Jade was drinking a pink drink. They didn't drink anything while they were there. And they said goodbye. Right afterwards, Nigella starts texting Jade, talking about the cute interaction they had, and they have a couple text messages. And that's at 8 p.m. An hour and a half later is the next time that Nigella Jackson would hear from her best friend. And she did not sound the same at all. During that hour and a half time period, Jade was very active on her phone. She took pictures. There's a picture at 9:10 p.m. where you can kind of see a progress of the painting project. And you see Jade's painting. And she has the words, love, that she's painted on the painting. These paintings were for the baby's nursery because she was having a baby girl. And you'll see the painting that she has that says love, hope, inspire, peace. And then the digital forensics expert from Metro Nashville Police Department will testify and explain that he can tell that Jade Benning not only was on Pinterest, but she actually searched. She was looking for inspiration for more words that were beautiful words of inspiration. So that's from 9:10 to 9:24. At 9:24, there are a series of 12 photos taken. The 12 photos are all pictures of Jade Benning and Blaise Taylor, and several of them have her painting in it. That last painting was at 9:10, and at 9:24, she has added words to the painting. She has added the words believe and beautiful and hope. Painted them on the painting. It's at 9:28 and 45 seconds. That is the last action that happens on Jade Benning's phone. That last 12 picture was deleted. And then at 9:29 and 27 seconds, Jade Benning's phone calls her best friend, Najee Jackson. Najee Jackson will describe to you that her best friend was talking, and she wasn't talking to her. So much so, Najee immediately sent her 2 messages. Are you talking to me? What's going on? Because it was not normal. Her friend did not sound normal at all. She described her as sounding wavy the way she was talking. She had known her since she was 6. She knew it wasn't, I'm not feeling well, something like I feel sick. She described it that her friend sounded scared. Her friend was talking to Blaise Taylor, and Jade Benning said, "What did you do? I can't feel my legs. I can't walk straight. What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. What's in your hand? Show me. Show me your pocket. What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. You did this because you didn't want the baby." She was repeating, "What's in your hand?" At one point, he responded back to her, "Nothing." During the 6-minute and 9-second call, Jade Benning is screaming out to her friend who's not responding to her. She hears her friend say to Blaise Taylor, "You're scaring me." And his response was, "You're scaring me." After 6 minutes and 9 seconds, Jade's phone disconnected the call. Right before that call disconnected, Najee, she was so confused as to what was going on. She merged her friend Keontae Jones into the call so that he could hear it. And at the end, Jade was trying to speak, but couldn't form words. He heard Jade, but couldn't make out anything that she was saying. That call began at 9:29 and 27 seconds. It was 6 minutes and 9 seconds long. At 9:50 p.m., EMTs arrived at the patient, Jade Benning, and she was pulseless. Najee Jackson sped to her best friend's condo, and when she got there, Jade Benning was already in the back of the ambulance. They would not let her in to see her friend. She started jumping up and down so she could see in the little window, and she saw her friend, who was gray. Jade Jackson, she goes to Vanderbilt ER, and Blaise Taylor, he goes there too. He had called 911. She goes to Vanderbilt Hospital. She talks to the medical staff. She hears him talking to the medical staff, and he is not telling them what Jade said. She tells them what she heard her best friend say. The first officers arrive an hour later, and Officer Pfeiffer, he hasn't talked to Jade Jackson yet. He approaches Blaise Taylor and asks him what happened. Another officer talks to him, and then a detective talks to him, and when he talks to all three of those people, the scenario he gives is Jade started feeling bad. She threw up. I called my dad. My dad told me to call 911, and then I called 911. He tells Officer Pfeiffer, the first officer, that the person on the 911 call who answered it told him it was an allergic reaction. You will also be presented with that 911 call. That 911 call where the operator says the standard, please give me the address of your emergency. He says, I don't know, it's on Donaldson. I'm with my friend, and she's having an allergic reaction. He goes on to tell the 911 operator that she must be having an allergic reaction to something she ate. He doesn't tell the 911 operator anything about what Jade Benning said. And about 6 minutes and 25 seconds into that 911 call, which he called his dad 45 seconds before he called 911. It was a 30-second phone call. Now that's several minutes after the call with Nigeria. Not a ton of time, but 2 to 3 minutes after that call ends. Places a call to his dad, 30-second call. He calls 911. But again, he's told all 3 people, he later tells all 3 law enforcement. She threw up. I called my dad. I called 911. 6 minutes and 25 seconds into the 911 call, he tells them, I think she's throwing up. He never tells 911 that Jade Benning is his girlfriend. He never tells them she's pregnant. The doctors at Vanderbilt, they were able to return spontaneous circulation, which means they were able to get Jade's heart to beat again. But the damage that was done to her brain, she never regained any brain activity, and she was on life support. On March 6th of 2025, Jade Benning and her unborn baby girl on her 25th birthday, she was removed from life support. Dr. Erin Carney with the medical examiner's office, she performed the autopsy on Jade Benning and her unborn baby girl. Dr. Carney already knew about Jade Benning before she ever died. She had already been contacted about her case because it was very unusual. And on February 28th, 2023, she requested Jade's first blood sample, that it be retained and saved for testing. She performed the autopsy and she verified there was absolutely nothing wrong with Jade's baby. Had she remained alive, her pregnancy would have continued and she would have had a baby girl. Dr. Carney will testify and tell you that the cause of Jade Benning's death was acute cocaine toxicity. a level higher than anything she has ever seen in any overdose death. You will also hear from another witness, Miss Apple Denny. She dated Blaise Taylor her freshman year of college. It was back in 2017. She was a freshman in college and she became pregnant. And she was not ready to be a mother at all. And she made the decision. He was with her. She made the decision to have an abortion. And Blaise Taylor went to those appointments with Miss Denny. They explained to her she had two options. And he was in those appointments, they talked about it. And she made a decision to have that abortion herself. Several months later, she will also describe to you a time when Blaise Taylor came to her in somewhat of a panic. And he told her that while they were on a break, he had slept with another woman, Xavier Winford, and she was pregnant. And she was refusing to have an abortion. And Apple Denny will tell you that Blaise Taylor asked her if she would go to the abortion clinic and get the abortion pill so that he could put it in Xavier Winford's drink to cause an abortion without her knowing. Miss Denny told him no, and also told him that wasn't even possible. And she will describe to you that he then began talking about what else could he put in her drink that would cause an abortion. Jade Benning's last words. What did you put in my drink? I knew my drink tasted funny. You did this because you didn't want baby. After you have heard all of the evidence, we will ask you to return a verdict of guilty on all 4 counts of the indictment.
Opening statement on behalf of Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Your Honor.